All right, welcome back to the channel. So today's kind of a cool day. We're going to try out some new stuff with the dyno, and we're going to be using the dyno with the biggest amp that I own. Okay, now this isn't like a 6K, 5K, not even a 2K. It's probably not even quite a 1K, but this is an old school Alpine MRV-1505, and roughly speaking, this thing is, rated bridged at 450 watts, or not bridged, but at 2 ohms, 450 watts a channel bridged, so it's going to be somewhere around 900 watts. But I'm not sure with our setup. We're just playing around with this new. We're going to kind of see, hey, what can we get? So let's throw this thing on here. We've run it with speakers on an active load, and it put out some killer power. So that'd be like dynamic power. And if you haven't seen our video where we did some kicker subwoofer tests, head-to-head tests, that footage is there, but we'll show you a clip of that here. And then we're going to show you now with load resistors on it, rather than it's going to be a static load, not a dynamic load. So let's check that out, see how it goes. All right, so we're going to try to get you to get the amps and the dyno on the same deal at the same time. So we're going to try to run this thing up to clipping and see what it does. All right, so it looks like we got up to like 571 watts, and it looked like the amp meter, it pegs out. I think it only goes up to like 100 amps, and then it shits out. So yeah, so that thing was drawing 100 amps on the power that we've got. So that's kind of a lot. So I'm gonna play around with this thing a little bit more and see if we can get it figured out. If you notice, I'm hot. It's sweating. It's about 4,000 degrees. It's probably 100 degrees in here. So anyways, we're going to give it a shot. We'll get right back and see if we can come up with some different results. This amp makes definitely more power than that, especially in the configuration that we're running it. So anyways, we're going to play around with it just a little bit and see what we can get. All right, we're going to try running this thing in 2 ohms on just one single channel, and we'll see how that goes. All right, looks like we've got 336 watts and a ton of amps. So you gotta remember, this is just loading 1/2 of the amplifier as well. All right, so we ran it again, and we ran it on just one of the channels at a 2 ohm load, okay? And so we were able to get 336 watts at about 12 volts. It dropped down to right at 12 volts, and I think it was somewhere 60 something amps. So we'll calculate that and see what we come up with. All right, so I did a little bit of math and checked what Alpine's ratings were on this amp. And so Alpine rates this amp at 12, they rated at 12 and 14.4. At 12 volts, it's rated 300 watts. At 14.4 volts, it's rated 450 watts. Okay, at 2 ohms, okay? So we were actually able to get a full run with 12 volts, which was good. So our rated power, that we tested power, I should say, was 336 watts. So we made 10% more than what Alpine rates it at, okay? We ran it to clipping. Now Alpine says that they're at 2 ohms, I think it's 0.3% total harmonic distortion. We ran it to 1%. So that could be the difference in the wattage, not to mention different testing procedures, come on. This isn't NASA here. So anyway, so the good news is made better than rated power. also calculated the efficiency at 2 ohms. So the efficiency at full tilt on 2 ohms was 46%. For an AB amplifier, I'm actually surprised at 2 ohms that it's that high. I would have thought it would be somewhere more like 40%. I was thinking it'd be somewhere right between 40 and 50%, and guess what? It was right somewhere between 40 and 50%. So anyway, so this is a cool test. I've got a couple more of these amplifiers, and the reason why I'm doing these tests is I've got these amplifiers, and to me, these are some of the greatest amplifiers ever made, especially the ones that are made in Japan. Around this time of period of 1997, these Alpine was making these things in Japan still. Some of them were made in China. We've got some that were made in China. We've got some that were made in Korea. They all look like a similar design, so it's not like, oh, one's a Chinese design, one's a Korean design. No, these are all Alpine designs. You know, Alpine sent them off to different build houses to be built. So anyways, these things are cool, especially this thing. I mean, this thing's a monster, you know. I mean, I don't know what to say. This thing's great. This thing's an awesome amplifier. It's a big dog. It's heavy. It's big. I want to say, you know, this thing measures out at 20 inches by 10 inches. And it's heavy. I mean, this thing weighs probably 15, 18 pounds. So anyways, thanks for watching. You give us a thumbs up, give us some likes, some subscribes, please. We got some cool stuff coming. We're going to get this bench better and more worked out. So keep watching. Thanks a lot.